Alrighty, good morning, Tuesday, the 29th. I'm talking more about monies and stuff like that. Today's notes are going to be super quick, and then we'll have a little activity to practice. We're going to start with going over the homework. If you're at home, just open the key and come and ask questions. Alright, so today we're going to be just comparing debit and credit cards, really diving into the differences. I think I showed everyone the two cards that I have, my debit card versus my credit card. Some parents have multiple of debit cards or multiple. They typically only have one debit card. They might have multiple credit cards. We're gonna go through. I'm gonna let y'all come touch the smartboard today. Oh my gosh! All you have to do is sort it into the correct space, and then everyone else will write it down in the correct place for the notes. Okay, so I'm gonna call people at a time. I'm gonna pause the display once we sort it into the right place. All right, so let's look at those. Go ahead and copy those down into your notes. Debit versus credit. So the big difference is talk about when they're paid. Debit cards, those are the ones that are linked to your checking account. And whenever you swipe your debit card, that money is immediately taken out. Now, sometimes it's not literally in that very second. Sometimes businesses don't close out their transactions until the end of the day, but it's going to happen pretty much that day. Okay? Now, with a credit card, the cool thing about a credit card is that it allows you to pay sort of in the future. So let's say, for example, on Monday, I find this really cute pair of shoes. I know that's going to be relevant to all of us. But I find this really cute pair of shoes. It's got glitter, it's got sparkles, it's just my size, and there's only one pair left. But they cost $100, and I'm just crying on the inside because my bank account only has $2. Okay? I do know, however, that I'm getting paid on Wednesday, and I'm like, I really want these shoes, and there's only one size left, and it's my size, so it's a B. So what I can do is I can use my credit card, swipe it on that Monday, even though I don't have enough money in my bank account, because I know I'm getting my paycheck, and I'll be able to afford it, okay? So with the credit card, what's nice about a credit card is I can swipe it on one day and then pay, usually it's a monthly bill that I pay off. Okay, you can choose to pay the whole bill on that end of the month, or you can even spread it out. Okay, so what I mean by that is like, maybe I buy this $100 pair of shoes, and I decide, okay, every single month I'm going to put $20 of my paycheck into it. So I'm going to put 20 this month, 20 the next month, 20 the next month, 20 the next month. That's sort of overdoing it, but like that's just an example. Does that make sense? So credit cards are really nice because it allows me to buy something today that I might not be able to afford until tomorrow. Okay? Now you've got to be careful with credit cards because if you keep swiping and you don't have any money that's coming, you got to pay it and then they come and get you. Hey.
When you get a credit card, don't you have to like put a certain amount?
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Spending limits. Credit cards do have spending limits, so all of y'all were like, I'm going to get a credit card and I'm going to put $1 million on it. Next. That doesn't work, okay? That's not how it works. We're going to talk about spending limits in a second, but they do limit you. Brian, question or no?
Why can't you just buy like a very expensive thing and just run away?
Because when you use that credit card, when you sign up for that credit card that you're going to use to buy that expensive thing and then quote unquote run away, you have to give them your information and they will hack you.
Well, why did they go? Because like you're giving them the information. Like why can't you just decline the card? Just destroy it.
It just doesn't work like that, okay? You try it, go for it. But okay, let's keep me updated. We'll use it. We'll circle back to it once you give us an update. Yes.
So, if your parents do set your limit that high, you could spend that much.
Sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about spending limits. We'll talk about, I might come back to it, but so spending limits. You remember how I talked about how like I have my bank account with a credit union and I just stuck with it. Even when I went up to college, I stuck with the same bank. And my mom, like even though she lives in Arkansas, she still has the Houston credit union. And the reason is because we have history with that bank. Now, what I mean by that is, so like, for example, credit cards. I got a credit card when I went off to college, and I started establishing my reliability. Okay, I always use like credit as, I use Fun Food Friday as an example. Okay, you got 2 friends on Fun Food Friday. You got that one friend who's like, hey, yo, bro, I forgot my money at home. Can I borrow $1 so I can buy a bag of Skittles? And you're like, yeah, you're good for it. I know you're going to pay me back tomorrow. You're good. Okay, then there's that one friend who's like, yo, bro, give me $5. I'm going to buy a whole pizza. Okay, you're like, no. You borrowed $5 from me last time and you still haven't paid me back. No, absolutely not. Okay, we have people very much pointing at each other for those that know. Okay, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, there's that one friend who's good for it, and then there's that one friend who, okay? So that's talking about like your reliability or your credit. So with credit cards, it works the same way. When you start off with a bank, they start you at a small amount, maybe a couple $100, maybe like $1,000. If you show them that you're reliable over time, they'll increase your spending limit. Maybe it goes from like $1,000 to $3,000. I'm just saying, like, for example, okay? Because you show that you're reliable and you can build that history. So when you've been with a bank for 20 years or so, I'm not saying that my credit limit is like 6,000 billion jillion. No, okay? Like, because I never spend that much money. But that's sort of an example you can think of.
So what's your credit limit?
I don't know, and I wouldn't tell you, and that's not something that we ask people. Thank you so much. Okay? Remember to raise your hand, and I'll call on you so we're not shouting out and interrupting. Are we good with understanding credit limits and stuff like that? Okay, here are the advantages. Okay, go ahead and copy down while we talk about it. Again, debit cards, that is money you already have. You are limited by how much money you have in your bank account. You cannot spend more because you don't have it. Okay, it can be used at ATMs and to get cash because, again, because they're immediately giving you cash, they want to know that that money already exists. Okay, they're not just going to hand you out money when maybe it'll get there. Maybe. Okay. No, absolutely. Okay. And then credit cards, again, paying in the future, usually after a paycheck, and can help build credit. The more you use your credit card, the better credit you have because you're showing your reliability. If you never use your credit card, then you're not showing that you're good or bad. You're just neutral. Okay.
So they just keep it.
So yeah, it just stays the same. So I always like to tell this story about my life and my struggles as a human being. So I got a credit card when I went off to college, but I never used it because I didn't have a job while I was in. I had a job during like the summers, but not during the school year. But where that came into play was like after I graduated and I was moving into an apartment and I was buying like all the furniture for it. Okay. I worked this summer, so I had like some money saved up and I was working in KAP and I was working, but I hadn't built up any credit. I hadn't like borrowed money, paid back. I was like, I'm only using what I have. I only use my debit card. I never use my credit card. So where that came to be an issue is when you go and buy furniture, okay? I was like, I have a job, I have an income, like I'm reliable, I'm trustworthy, I'm a good human being. And I went to go like buy, I didn't have any furniture, like I didn't have a couch, I didn't have like I had a mattress but not like a bed frame. I didn't have like a coffee table or anything like that. And so I went to buy this kind of stuff. I had a TV, but I didn't have like a stand for it. So I go to the furniture store and I'm like, I'm gonna be a big kid, I'm gonna use my credit card to buy it. And so they go, they swipe the card and they said no. I was like, what? And they're like, you don't have credit. And I was like, what do you mean? I have a job. I could prove that I have a job. I was like, I showed them my school ID. I was like, I can work. And they're like, yeah, that's great. No. And I was like, what do you mean no? And they're like, well, you haven't established any credit. Like, you haven't proven that you can pay stuff off. So we can't let you do it with your credit card. I was like, but I have the money because I had saved up. I had enough money to pay for it with like my debit card, but I wanted to pay it off over time. I wanted to I didn't want to have that whole chunk of money just disappear from my bank account and be crying and have $2. I wanted to pay it off over time. And they're like, nope, can't do it. And I was like, eh. So I ended up buying like just the couch. And then I had no other furniture and I had to establish that credit. Because again, I could pay for this stuff, but then I had to start like building up my credit. And so it was fun. It was great. Like at first, I don't have, please stop shouting out. Thank you. Okay. So I bought the couch, so I had to sit on something. Like I had something to sit on, but like my keys on the floor, my mattress on the floor, and then I'm just like, yeah. Okay. But over time now that I'm an adult, like I've established my credit and like I can use that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it is important to use that kind of stuff if credit cards are like something you're good at. Again, don't go get a new credit card if you're an irresponsible person. Again, lots of y'all, I hope 100% of y'all don't have one right now because no. But in the future, just make sure if credit cards is something you do use, that you are reliable. Okay, there are perks to credit cards other than just like the paying it later. A lot of credit card companies like will give you benefits like miles when it comes to like flying and stuff like that. There's like perks to using it, but there you'll find it's and have these conversations with your parents because I always think it's super interesting. Different families. Some families will use only credit cards because they want to get all those perks, and then some families only use debit cards because they don't want to overspend or spend recklessly. Okay, so those are questions you can definitely have with your parents. Okay, you don't have to ask how much is our spending limit because that's not a thing to do. But it's just talking about, hey, when do you use these type of things? Okay, alrighty, and disadvantages. Let's get some more people. Alrighty, so those are correct. Extra fees, you spend more than you have. So what this is called an overdraft fee. Overdraft fee. So when that, I know a lot of y'all are probably like, wait, is that a lot of credit? So an overdraft fee is like, say you have $20 in your bank account, but then you buy something that's $30. A lot of times your banks, especially if it's your bank, will like spot you the $10, but then they'll charge you an extra overdraft fee, saying, hey, we're doing you a favor, but you got to pay us an extra 20 on top of that 10 that you're borrowing from us. Okay, overdrafts can be pricey. Okay, so don't do it. Don't be reckless. But I'm just letting you. Okay, and then obviously you are limited to how much is in your bank account. Again, there's some flexibility, but like overall, you can't like overdraft by like thousands of dollars. It's usually like I don't know what the limits are. It might change from bank to bank. But yeah. Okay, and then versus a credit card, you're assigned a spending limit. Again, that spending limit can increase over time, and you start at one value and then you can work your way up as you prove your reliability. Interest, that's a new word for us. Interest is charged, y'all probably heard it, but interest, we're talking about it today, is charged for unpaid bills. So like maybe say you forget to pay your credit card bill at the end of the month. They'll be like, okay, well, instead of just $20 that you owe us for that one thing, you owe us $20 plus a percentage of that. Okay. Interest also comes, so it comes with credit cards and it also comes with loans. Okay. Credit cards you use for smaller purchases, and then loans are things you use for like cars, paying for college, and for houses. Those also have interest because you're paying them. It's big sums of money that you're borrowing, and you're taking usually years to pay it off, or in credit cards like months to pay it off. They'll charge you interest, okay, and that's how they make money. They'll spot you the $100, but then you got to pay an extra 20 because you took X, Y, Z amount of time. Okay, interest isn't always charged. That's how some companies get you to get a credit card with them. They'll say, ooh, 5 months without interest. And then if you can pay it off in 5 months, you don't have to pay any of the extra. But if you take 6 months or 6 years to pay something off, then you'll have those extra fees sorted out. Okay? And then lastly, debt can add up quickly. Okay? Credit cards can be very dangerous because is that money coming out right then and there? No. Okay? So you can be swiping and swiping and swiping. Okay? And then you realize, you look at your bank account and you're like, it hasn't changed. I can keep spending. Okay? It can be very dangerous, so that's why you got to make sure that you are reliable before you go and do one. Any questions? My questions? Again, these are all cool things to talk about with the parents. So as we just talked about, this is interest. Interest. Interest is a charge for the use of credit cards or borrowed money when the balance is not paid off within a set amount of time. Okay? Again, sometimes with credit cards, you can take like months and months to pay something off, so it's not all just taken out immediately. You can say, okay, I put $600 on my credit card and I'm going to put $100 towards it each month. Okay? It really helps with like spreading out your time, making, again, not crying when you log into your bank account and be like, here's all my money. Okay? It sort of makes it an even layer. So let's look at an example with interest. Steve's recent credit card bill was $364, and the credit card company charges 2% interest of the amount owed for each month his payment is late. How much interest will Jake owe if there is 1 month late, and how much will he owe in all? So if it's 2%, how can I solve for the amount of interest? 4%. Okay, and that proportion I'm going to put
2 over 100.
2 over 100.
Something over 364.
Something over 364. Can I set it up backwards like this? Of course. Don't get too comfortable with your way though. How do we go from 100 to 364?
Times 364.
Okay, do some math.
Oh, no.
Okay, my interest is, okay, because it's money, can we not say 7.28? Can we say?
$7.20.
Thank you. Let's sound like we know what we're talking about. Okay, so that answers how much I owe, but how much is all? How do I figure that out? Add $364 plus 728. Make sure you line up those decimals. Gucci? Alrighty, last little problem is going to be determining this one happens with debit versus credit. We're not actually going to be solving anything in this problem, it's just talking, writing down our observations. So Anna needs to pay a fee to participate in a soccer league that costs $25. She has $122.50 in her checking. We want to determine the effect of a debit card and a credit card. So we're going to talk about both, okay? I'm just going to put some notes. Hey, if she uses a debit card, this is going to happen. If she uses a credit card, this is going to happen. Someone tell me, pick one and tell me what's going to happen. Yes, Freedom.
So in a debit card,
Yep.
it's just gonna take away the money.
Yeah, money. Is it going to be later or is it going to be immediate that it gets taken? Okay, money is taken out immediately. Does she need to worry about like late fees, interest, overdraft fees? No. Okay, she has enough money in the bank account. She doesn't have to worry about that. Debit cards don't have interest. Good with that? Okay. Someone else for the credit card. What might it look like? Bria? Bill. Yeah, so she can pay for it later, whenever the bill comes. Do we have to worry about any fees?
Yeah.
We could have fees. What do we worry about?
Late fees.
Late fees or interest. There's no overdraft in credit cards, okay? But it might have interest. So I just put no other fees. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. Okay? So that I believe is pretty much the end of the lesson. Oh, quick check. This isn't on your paper, so it's up to you. Okay, is it debit or is it credit? Interest is charged.
Credit.
Even finish the whole sentence. When a purchase is made, money is immediately.
Credit.
Okay, pause. Number two, what was the key word in number two?
Remove.
Immediately. Interest. Number three, credit or debit?
Credit.
What's the key word?
Assign.
Spending limit. Number four, allows you to buy something now and pay later. Keyword? Future. All right, cool. So before we get to this game kit, for those of y'all at home, you might be able to go through the questions. I won't play the game, sorry. But that is that. Your homework is going to be the back side of that paper, so it's easy for you to do the cover book. And what else we need to work on? Test review. I think someone in this class messaged me. She's not here. Number 4 on the test review, we are not counting because there's no correct answer.
Yeah.
Okay, we weighted it as 0 points, so it doesn't hurt you and it doesn't help you. Okay, so you can just put your best guess. It's just it is what it is. I don't know if it'll let you. You can. If you don't answer it, that's great and fine. If you want to try for it, I mean, all the 18s are supposed to be 15s.
Yeah.
Math is hard. If I don't work that problem out, then on the key, like I made a key for it, and I put 15, and then I saw that none of the answers had 15, they had 18, so I thought my math was wrong, and I just made it an 18. I was very disappointed in myself. I cried to myself. Okay. So homework is the back of the page. Test review is due tomorrow evening. Thank you.